I would also invite you to write in, give us your feedback, disagree with us, tell me your point of view. You can email us at comments@insightsintothings.com. You can find us on X at insights_things, where you can find links to all those and more on our official website at www.insightsintothings.com. Shall we get going?
Oh, let's the fun begin.
Here we go. The comparison of nationalism and anti Semitism during the rise of the Nazi Party in the first half of the 20th century with today's political climate reveals some notable similarities as well as significant differences. From a similarity standpoint, you have an ideology of exclusion. Both eras witness ideologies that define the nation in exclusionary terms, which is really contrary to what this country was ever built on. The Nazi Party's version of nationalism was grounded in racial purity and the exclusion of Jews, among others. Despite the fact that there's Jewish ancestry on Hitler's side, and Hitler wasn't even German to begin with. So, purity. Modern nationalism, while not typically as extreme, often similarly hinges on defining insiders and outsiders, sometimes marginalizing certain groups. There's also significant similarities in economic factors. Economic uncertainty played a significant role in the rise of the Nazi Party as it capitalized on the economic woes of post-World War I Germany to gain support. Today, the economic uncertainty, particularly in the wake of globalization and economic crises, also fuels nationalist sentiments.
So now we'll talk about scapegoating. So the Nazi regime notoriously used Jews as a scapegoat for Germany's problems. In contemporary politics, while not as extreme or widespread, there is still a tendency in some nationalist narratives to scapegoat immigrants or ethnic minorities for social and economic issues. The use of propaganda. The Nazis were adept at using propaganda to spread their ideologies. And today, while the methods have evolved, the use of the use of media and particularly social media to dismantle nationalist and anti-Semitic sentiments echoes this aspect of the past. The rise of the term fake news to discredit credible sources that point out the lies and crimes of one political organization over another has threatened to undermine any source of truth.
So while there's a number of similarities, there's also differences. So the first one we look at is the institutional framework. The current global institutional framework, including organizations like the United Nations and various human rights conventions, acts as a significant barrier against the rise of extremist ideologies akin to those of the Nazi era. Even though the United Nations has proven time and again to be ineffective against even mildly concerted efforts by a few obstructionist members to undermine the basic principles of its existence. The other is public awareness and education. Again, you would think by now we would have a better understanding of these things having lived through it once. There is a higher level of public awareness and education about the dangers of extreme nationalism and anti-Semitism today, largely as a result of the lessons learned from World War II and the Holocaust. However, with active efforts to distort history, ban books and curricula teaching about the atrocities and culture of denial has arisen that threatens the basic defense against a repeat of the atrocities of the Nazis.
Then there's the extent and nature of anti-Semitism. The anti-Semitism of the Nazi era was state-sponsored, systematic, and led to the Holocaust. Modern anti-Semitism, while a serious concern, typically does not manifest with the same intensity or state-level endorsement. This less intensive approach in and of itself may actually be more dangerous, and it makes the concept of anti Semitism more appealing to the less radicalized members of society and thus threatens to make the practice even more widespread. Globalization and digital connectivity. So now we have the contemporary world, which, is more interconnected now than it was in the 1930s and the 1940s. This globalization and digital connectivity can both fuel nationalist sentiments, but also provide means for counter narratives and global solidarity against extremism. So, recent history has shown how easily social media can be manipulated to propagate hate and violence more so than prevent it throughout.
So, just on what we talked about here, do you think the technological advantages of communication?
Something, a picture about something, they forward it to everybody that they know without even checking to see if it's factual. But then on the other hand, you have real-time news, real-time events that are happening that people are being informed about pretty much right as it happens, as opposed to back in the day where it could be weeks before somebody heard about something, months before somebody heard something, hours before.